everyone. Happy Thursday, May 7th. So, still virus-free zone in this area. So, what have I been up to? Well, a week ago finished those 3 jaded blankets that I was working on, and I will put the pictures of them right here, although you've seen them before. I mean, yeah, they're all kind of the same, but I'll put them right here. Okay, so, yeah, I am kind of done with Afghans for a while. In fact, I kind of feel like, now that I've filled all my Afghan list, and I had like a 2-page list of Afghans to make for family and friends, and that's all done, and so I'm sort of in a bit of a, okay, which direction do I go with my crochet right now? So I'm taking a little bit of a breather. I still am making some granny squares because I have a ton of yarn balls to use up from making all those Afghans forever, so eventually I'll find an outlet for more granny square blankets. Right now I just don't have one. So also my next door neighbor mentioned me to somebody in her family, and that person bought one of my little bears and a little rabbit. So that was a nice little help because my work hours have been cut a little bit in all of this. So that just helped me to pay rent for this month. And eBay. eBay sales have been good last month. This month, nothing yet, but anyway, so that all helped. And so I'll put a picture. Oh, I don't need to put a picture of those up. Well, okay, I'll put a picture of those 2 up that I just sold. But with the little pink bear, I will say that they asked me to make a hat for it. And so I just make a hat that fits on one ear. And I will eventually write up the little pattern that I created to do that. So if you ever make a Sharon Oyala bear, you can make a little hat. Now this one I started to make, and I got that far with it, and it wasn't the old pattern that I had created, so I had to actually go pull one out of storage and look at it and say, what the heck did I do? Because this one kind of looks like a nipple. So anyways, forget that hat. Then I decided my niece, who just had a baby, who's now about 10 days old, and one of her colors for the baby was minty green. So I decided, I have not made a Sharon Oyala rabbit for a while. And the rabbit is this same pattern as the bunny, but the rabbit is the same pattern as the bear, but just different ears. So I made my first rabbit in, I don't know, maybe 3 years. In fact, I first got started on making those rabbits back in the spring of 2017 because a friend of mine's daughter was having a baby, and that daughter, who had been married, she'd been married 18 years at the time, and they were having terrible problems getting pregnant after 18 years, yes, and she finally got pregnant anyways. So I decided to make her a whole bunch of crochet stuff, and then I thought, I'll just make a rabbit for each of my friend's grandkids. And at that time I think she had about 16, so yeah, I had made a lot of the Sharon Oyala rabbits, and I hadn't made one since. Here's a picture of some of those rabbits I made back in 2017. And here's the little bunny that I made for my new little niece. And then I also sent her a little pink, no, it was a teal bear. Because teal, minty, they kind of match. So, right now I'm working on a new bear. That's all I have of him. I've got 3 other bear heads started, so I'll get those all made up. And I don't know, maybe I'll put some on Etsy. If I do put them on Etsy, I'll put a link below if I ever open my Etsy shop again. But right now, it's not open because there's nothing in there. And, okay, let's see, what else for yarny stuff? Okay, I guess that's about it for yarny stuff. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. And I just want you all to know that what we see with this thing that's going on is that it isn't going to be over anytime soon. We'll never go back to what things were like, say, last fall. That's not going to happen. In a way, I'm sort of glad that's not going to happen, because there were some things that were going on in this world that, especially in this country, that were really, really bad, and because of the shutdowns, those things can't happen anymore. So, but regardless, there's going to be coming a food shortage, and that's just the way it is. There's going to be inflation, and it's going to skyrocket, and you know, that's just sort of the fallout of all of this lockdown. So my suggestion is that you get ahead of that curve and start making sure you are plenty stocked up with food, because yeah, just get stocked up with food. That's all I'm saying, because there's going to be some shortages coming. Listen, listen, listen. I have a good supply of toilet paper. I did not hoard. I just get it whenever I can get it. But food, I have already started stocking up just here and there. I'm thinking, you know, I got my stimulus check today, which I kind of have a little bit of, what do I want to say? Not sure how I feel about it. And don't say, oh, I'll take your stimulus check if you don't want it. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that the stimulus check was out of thin air. We don't have money to print stimulus checks. And they keep talking about, oh, we're going to give even more. Hey, I appreciate that. But where's that money coming from? That money doesn't actually exist. It's like the emperor's new clothes. So that's, I just feel a little bit conflicted about this check that I know is printed out of thin air. Yeah, not so. Anyways, but I'm thinking I might invest in a freezer so that I can stock up a little bit more. I think meats are going to be a little bit of an issue. Right now you can still get meat, but I think a little bit further down the road, maybe sometime in the summer, it might be a little more difficult. So I'm just telling all of you, please, go get yourself stocked up, so that if there comes a time of food shortage, that you can say, okay, I'm okay. I have some stuff stocked up. I'm good. Just like having the toilet paper, you say, I have some. I'm good. I don't need to be going over to Costco to try to find some. I have some. I'm fine. And speaking of that, find out when you're, like your local CVS or Walgreens, find out the day that their truck comes in to reload the store and then go in the next day and get your stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, got that stimulus check. But first I'm going to have a little fun with that stimulus check, in that I'm going to get some coins, because I haven't been able to get boxes of anything for about a month, just because I haven't had the income to go to play with, to go get boxes of pennies or dimes or nickels or quarters. I don't know that I'll ever do half dollars. But hey, I'm still trying to finish my quarter books. I have not finished them. So a box of quarters is $500. And of course, pretty much $500 gets put right back in the bank. But it'd be nice to go through $500 worth of quarters instead of just $100 at a time. I'm just not getting anywhere with that. So anyways, one of the things that I stocked up on yesterday, I've started to stock up on, and you can stock up on it or not, it doesn't matter to me, is butter. Because if I want to bake, and sometimes I do, then I better have butter on hand. And our local store sells them in 3-pound packs. So I got 3 pounds yesterday, and hopefully today or tomorrow I'm gonna make some peanut butter cookies. So if you haven't tried Martha Stewart's peanut butter cookie recipe, then you are missing out. And it's free to print out on her website. But I can read you the ingredients if you want. Like I said, it's free. I went over there, I had printed it out, oh gosh, I don't know, several years ago. And there wasn't any problem to print it out. Now you go over there, you have to sign up. And as soon as I signed up, man, I got flooded with emails from Martha Stewart, and I had to unsubscribe. But I got the recipe printed out. So, let me just tell you what the recipe is for Martha Stewart's cookies. Like I said, it's free. Okay, we're going to start off with 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, a ½ teaspoon of salt, which I'm going to tell you can eliminate if you use salted butter. Okay, 1 cup of unsalted butter, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of packed light brown sugar, 2 large eggs, and 1½ cups of smooth peanut butter. Now, I used to have a cookie business, so let me just tell you what I always did with all my cookie batters, no matter what. You take your sugar and your butter and you beat them until they are fluffy. Yeah. And then you add your eggs and you beat it till it's fluffy. Not fluffy like meringue, but just so that you have really whipped air into it and you've made it really light. So you also need to make sure your butter is at room temperature before you ever bake with anything. I mean, unless you're making pie crust, make sure your butter is at room temperature, because then it's just nice and soft and it just blends in easily. And then after that, you can just put in your dry ingredients and your other things. And don't overmix, just mix it till it's incorporated really well, and then you're done. So that's the Martha Stewart recipe. I've got a thing of butter sitting out now, and hopefully I'll make it later. I used to double this recipe when I had a 6-quart mixer, but 6 years ago I just got rid of my entire cookie business, and I made a deal with a local bakery who came and got all my baking stuff. And I regret that mixer going, because I made her a deal for pennies on the dollar just to get rid of the stuff, because I had to get rid of it. But now I have a new one, a newer one, but it's smaller. It's only like 4.5 quarts. I miss that 6-quarter. But anyways, it is freakishly hot here. It's in the 90s today. It was in the 90s yesterday. This is not normal April weather. We've been in sort of a heat bubble for about 3 weeks, and supposedly by Tuesday of next week we'll be down into normal temperatures, which is like in the low 80s or the upper 70s. So yeah, we're dealing with that. So I have to be really careful with the butter sitting out, that it doesn't get too overheated and start to melt at room temperature. Because even though I have my AC on and 2 fans in here, my AC is terrible. It doesn't really cool worth beans. But yeah, I have to just be careful of that. Last time I told a little story, I think, about my grandmother, and people really liked that little story. So I thought I'd just tell you a little bit more about my grandmother. My paternal grandmother, so my dad's mother, and she was born in 1913, and 1 year after the Titanic sank, so that gives you a little bit of context. But here's the kicker: her mother was a madam. So we have that in the family, and my grandmother was one of 3 children. They all had different fathers, which was very scandalous back in those days. And the thing is, she was never quite sure who her father was. We think we figured it out, but yeah, she was never sure. She was always very ashamed of her background. And then when she was 16, she got pregnant with my dad, which was another very scandalous thing. She did marry my dad's dad, I guess when she was 16 or 17, which would have been in like 1929, 1930. And but she was always very ashamed of that too. I think because my dad was maybe conceived before the marriage. It's just not something she never talked about. And it's just, that was who she was, that was the times. And yeah, that was my grandmother. She had a sister that, now I never met her sister, who would have been a great aunt, or her brother, who would have been a great uncle. They were passed away, I think, before I was born. But her sister was blind, and probably we think she was blind from syphilis that she inherited from her mother, who was the madam. And I'll put a little picture right here of the madam and her 3 children, including one who is blind, the oldest girl. And she's got a necklace on with a watch so she could feel what time it was. But yeah, that's part of my family. Don't know too much about her. Her name was Arzula, but because I don't know too much about her. She was passed away before I was born. Anyhow, that's it for this video, and I will talk to y'all later. Have a great rest of the week, and get out, get some sunshine, take your vitamin D3, take your vitamin C, take your multivitamins, and get some sunshine. And don't wear a mask if you're out in public and there's nobody around. Don't be stupid. And don't be wearing a mask in your car if there's nobody around and you don't have anybody in your car. Don't wear a mask in your car. That's stupid. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.